I'm Dave.
And I'm Andrew. We are the IB English guys. Welcome back to our second video on prose fiction. Last video, we looked at a great passage from the Great Gatsby and did some close reading. Today, we're going to break it down and write about it, Mr. Giles.
That's right, we are. And you can't write about a passage unless you've closely read it. Our previous video, we talked about SCASNY, our acronym. And now we're just going to take a look at some of our annotations and just talk about the passage in general, the thing that we notice in terms of ideas on the left and kind of the literary features and authorial choices on the right.
Yeah, that's great, Mr. Giles. Now, when we look at that first paragraph from the passage, right away, that idea of power comes out. And it says he was a powerful end that plays football. And that really develops the characterization of Tom Buchanan just right there in that first sentence. Really important.
Yeah, that's right. We know that this passage, as we talked about last time, is that rich character of Tom Buchanan. We also think about privilege and wealth that's being discussed. We talk about the polo ponies. We talk about this whole idea of being wealthy enough to kind of move around, and all of that is a part of the narration.
Yeah, moving down into the second paragraph, I really like this phrase, they had spent a year in France, comma, for no particular reason. And I think that sort of speaks to that, that aimlessness of rich people. They have so much wealth, they can just sort of pop around the country or around the world wherever they want. And it's that sort of that first person reflection where our narrator is observing this behavior and really a bit standoffish about it, I think.
Yeah, it's subjective, right? It's subjective from that first person point of view. Okay, moving on to the next paragraph, we notice that we're talking more specifically about Tom Buchanan's appearance now as a 30-year-old. So we get that sense of physical power and manhood, the imagery of his straw hair, also his hard mouth and his supercilious manner. All that is characterizing him.
Yeah, and I think that we see the word cruel body, against thinking about cruelty and some personification there, but that's then carried out, that conflict and that aggression is carried out through the words gruff, fractiousness, content. That lexical cluster of really negatively connotated words really does capture the characterization of Tom.
Yeah. And then we have this sort of hypothetical dialogue. This isn't actual dialogue. It's like what he seemed to say. This is all about his dominance. Okay. And it's, again, I'm stronger and more of a man than you are. He kind of says with his eyes all out.
And then we see that carried out in the physical manifestation through that manipulation when he starts churning him around by one arm. And the reader can see that visual imagery of Tom controlling the narrative.
Yeah, the imagery of the garden, the motorboat, all these sort of symbols of wealth. He's showing off these things. All these things are part of the characterization of Tom Buchanan.
Yeah.
We're ready to write now.
We are ready to write now. We've done some really rich thinking. Let's go ahead and read the paragraph aloud and talk about what we notice. In this passage from The Great Gatsby, F. Scott Fitzgerald introduces Tom Buchanan, a character whose physical prowess and wealth underscore his prominence. Tom's status as a former football star at New Haven is a testament to his physical abilities, which marked him as a national figure. Fitzgerald employs hyperbole, emphasizing that Tom's early success took your breath away and created a sense of unattainable greatness. This greatness, according to the narrator, is limited, and it seems that Tom's best days are at his past and life is an anticlimax. Nick's subjective tone as first-person narrator offers this insight and judges Tom in the eyes of the reader. The passage also highlights Tom's extravagant lifestyle, as seen in his acquisition of polo ponies from Lake Forest, a detail that symbolizes his extravagant wealth, since polo is clearly a sport for the ultra-wealthy. The use of diction, such as acutely limited excellence and dramatic turbulence, adds to the characterization of Tom and foreshadows the dissatisfaction that will permeate his life. Fitzgerald's use of imagery further enhances Tom's characterization, particularly through the description of his physical appearance, painting a picture of a man who exudes dominance and authority with words such as sturdy, straw-haired, and enormous power, juxtaposed with descriptors like supercilious manner and arrogant eyes, revealing a deeper layer of insecurity and superiority complex beneath Tom's outward strength. Moreover, the author employs dialogue to convey Tom's demeanor and attitude towards others, exemplified by the phrase, "Just because I'm stronger and more of a man than you are," further accentuating his sense of entitlement and disdain for those he perceives as inferior. Overall, this passage provides insight into Tom's background and character, setting the stage for the exploration of privilege and restlessness in the novel. This passage thus serves as a commentary on the emptiness of wealth and privilege, highlighting the superficiality and moral decay that often accompany them. Mr. Giles, that was actually fun to read. That is a big, beastly paragraph. What do we like about this? There's a lot of
I love the insight. I think like just thinking about the topic sentence, we have the physical prowess, and then the idea of wealth.
Yeah.
This is again what we talked about. This is what the passage is about: the sower and the wealth.
You'll notice that we highlight that in pink in all of our work. We call that the rich idea. We believe that every topic sentence has to have a strong, clear, rich idea, and physical prowess and wealth would certainly qualify for that.
Yeah. The writer is picking nuggets of language. I think we talk about that word notable nuggets, and that the nuggets is just like a word or a phrase that's integrated into the sentence. So the second sentence talks about the national figure took your breath away. These are phrases that help to characterize Tom.
Yeah, we're not putting in entire sentences as our textual references. As you said, we're just pulling little, I call them snippets. We just take your scissors and you snip out the little part you want and you integrate it into a sentence of your own. I also noticed the word Fitzgerald and reader employed in this piece, Mr. Giles. And as you would say, that implies that the writer has put the author in the driver's seat. They're not writing about the text itself. They're writing about how Fitzgerald is using the text to communicate a message to the reader. A really clever approach from this writer.
Yeah. I also see there's reference to the narrator. We're thinking about that N in Skasny, right? We're thinking about the greatest, according to the narrator, is limited. And I think that's important because this passage is the subjective commentary from the narrator. So that's brought out in this beginning of this.
Yeah. What else do you see, Mr. Giles? There's a lot to talk about here. What else is jumping at you?
Well, I'm seeing a lot of rich authorial choices. We're thinking about symbolism. We're looking at word choice like diction, but we're picking out the specific words. And of course, this is all about the characterization. So this student really has a sharp eye on author craft.
Yeah, I noticed that there's a really long sentence in here, and I noticed it while I was reading it, but I also noticed while I was reading it that it's really well crafted. And I think we see words like imagery, characterization, juxtapose, and there's many references. I think when you're writing, of course, you want to think about your sentence variety. You want to have some short sentences and some long sentences, and I feel like this writer really used that well in this case.
Yeah, definitely. And they're the way that they've written the paragraph actually goes in the order of the paragraph of the passage itself. And they end with this idea of the dialogue of just because I'm stronger than you are. And I think that was a nice, very important thing that we noticed in the passage.
Indeed. Now, of course, we know this is a really organized and structured writer because we see those ideas of wealth and privilege and superficiality and moral decay. Those are the rich ideas that were sort of sparked in the topic sentence, and those are being carried through to fruition in the concluding sentence as well.
Yeah.
Really nicely done.
So in short, we want to make sure our topic sentences have a rich idea. We want to make sure that we're actually quoting the text and looking at the passage closely based on our close reading. And we want to talk about author choices and craft. This is what analysis is. Do those things and you're off to a really good start.
Folks, in the end, we hope this video has provided some value for you. We hope you understand how to take a rich piece of reading, move it to an organizer, do some close annotating, and then end with a polished piece of writing. Stay with the channel, keep on watching, and we will guide you to success in your high school English endeavors. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, guys.